Everything you have been told about human connection and finding your tribe is a lie. They tell you that no man is an island. They tell you that your net worth is your network, that you need a partner to complete you, and that a massive social circle is the ultimate sign of success. They tell you that independence is just trauma disguised as strength. Stop. Stop listening to the fragile, codependent gurus who want you permanently tethered to the approval of other people. Stop apologizing for your desire for solitude. Because their advice is designed to keep you weak, needy, and entirely manageable. It does not build strength. It builds a prison. Think about how you operate right now. Look back at your own life. When has desperately needing someone else's validation ever made you more powerful? Never. It makes you compromise your principles. It makes you a slave to their mood swings. When has relying on a partner, a friend, or a mentor for your emotional stability ever resulted in genuine peace? It hasn't. You live in a constant state of low-grade terror, terrified that the person you need might walk away, change their mind, or betray you. You project an energy of lack, and people can smell that desperation on you from a mile away. The harder you cling to people for your identity, the faster you lose yourself. The more you need them, the more leverage you hand them over your soul. This is the trap of the modern social paradigm. You are suffocating your own potential by being terrified of standing alone. You know this feeling intimately. The sickening drop in your stomach when someone leaves you on read, and you realize your entire day is ruined. The pathetic act of agreeing with opinions you despise just to fit in with a group that doesn't even respect you. The absolute exhaustion of constantly curating your personality so people will like you, only to feel completely hollow when you are finally alone. You have poured your time, your energy, and your money into people who only take. You have sacrificed your peace of mind to keep toxic relationships alive. You have lost your direction trying to please everyone around you. Only to watch it all crumble precisely because you built your foundation on the shifting sands of human nature. You feel exhausted. You feel resentful. You feel like a mirror, reflecting everyone else's expectations but possessing no original image of your own. And even when you are surrounded by people, you have never felt more isolated. Modern self-help looks at your isolation and tells you the answer is more connection. More networking events. More vulnerability. More putting yourself out there. They tell you, if you feel lonely, you just haven't found the right people yet. What a toxic, destructive delusion. This lie keeps you locked in a perpetual state of starvation, begging reality for a savior. It convinces you that your current state of solitude is fundamentally broken, and that you are fundamentally incomplete. It turns you into an emotional beggar. And the world does not respect beggars. The world exploits them. This constant needing, this burning attachment to the presence of others, is a profound weakness. It makes you highly manipulable. If you desperately need a specific person or a specific group, anyone who controls access to them controls you. Your boss. Your partner. Your fake friends. You have handed them the remote control to your nervous system. When you finally understand the psychology of absolute self-sufficiency, everything changes. When you drop the neediness, the dynamic violently shifts. You stop seeking approval, and you start commanding respect. If you are ready to break this pathetic cycle of dependence, if you are ready to stop being a hostage to human nature and start forging an unbreakable independence, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building an army of sovereign minds, and we need your strength in the ranks. Let's talk about men who actually understood power. Let's talk about the Stoics. Let's talk about Diogenes. A man who chose to live in a barrel on the streets of Athens, possessing absolutely nothing but a wooden bowl. Alexander the Great, the most powerful conqueror on earth, stood over him and offered him anything he desired. Diogenes looked at the emperor and said, "Stand a little out of my sun." He needed nothing. Therefore, he feared no one. Not even the master of the known world. Let's talk about Marcus Aurelius. An emperor surrounded by millions of subjects, yet profoundly alone at the top of the empire. He dealt with constant betrayal, plague, and war. Did he write journal entries crying about his lack of a supportive friend group? Did he tie his emotional stability to the loyalty of his generals? No. He wrote, "The mind in itself has no needs, except for those it creates itself." He ruled the world precisely because he did not need the world to validate him. Did these men desperately network? Did they compromise their values to secure a dinner invitation? Did they bleed out emotionally when people misunderstood them? No. Modern society is incredibly weak. It teaches us to be utterly fragile. We are conditioned to tie our entire identity to external validation and social inclusion. If we are alone on a Friday night, we are told we are losers. If we cut off toxic family members, we are told we are cold. If we prefer solitude over mindless chatter, we are told we are mentally ill. We are instructed to need people deeply, obsessively, all the time. The Stoics would look at modern society with absolute disgust. They understood the ultimate cheat code to reality: true freedom is wanting nothing that is not within your control. They understood the dichotomy of control. They knew that tying your happiness to the presence or approval of another human being is a contract you make with yourself to be miserable. And they refused to sign that contract. They cultivated the inner citadel. They knew that relationships, alliances, and networks are preferred indifference. It is fine to prefer them. It is fine to enjoy them when they are present. But the moment you need them, you have surrendered your sovereignty. This is the paradigm shift you must make right now. This is where you draw the line in the sand. You must stop treating your independence as a coping mechanism, and start treating it as your core identity. Who are you? Are you a starving animal, begging for scraps of attention from a world that doesn't care about you? Or are you a monolith of solid stone, entirely sufficient unto yourself, indifferent to who stays and who leaves? The psychology of the man who needs nobody is not about giving up on humanity. Do not confuse what I am saying with bitterness or misanthropy. Misanthropy is the weakness of the defeated. It is the excuse of the coward who was hurt once and is too afraid to ever engage again. Absolute self-sufficiency is the weapon of the elite. It is not about gritting your teeth and pretending you don't care that you are lonely. Fake indifference is just another form of anxiety. People can smell the bitterness on you. True self-sufficiency is about alignment. It is aligning yourself with the absolute reality that you are already whole. That your worth is entirely internally generated. That whether you are surrounded by a loyal army, or standing completely alone in a barren wasteland, your inner citadel remains untouched and fully operational. So how do you actually forge this psychology? How do you rewire your brain to stop needing people, so you can finally engage with them from a place of power? It requires ruthlessly implementing the laws of absolute sovereignty. First, you must master the art of the ruthless audit. You are surrounded by people right now. But how many of them do you actually want there, and how many are just there to drown out the silence? You tolerate disrespect, you tolerate boredom, and you tolerate mediocrity because you are terrified of an empty room. You must audit your circle with zero emotion. Look at every relationship. Does this person elevate my standard? Do they challenge my intellect? Do they align with my mission? If the answer is no, you cut the cord. You stop answering the texts. You stop attending the events. You choose the harsh truth of solitude over the comforting lie of toxic company. When you clear out the noise, you create a terrifying vacuum. And in that vacuum, you are finally forced to meet yourself. Second, you must kill the fear of being misunderstood. The need for people is often just the need to be validated. You want them to see how smart you are, how hard you work, how justified your anger is. You exhaust yourself trying to explain your motives to people committed to misunderstanding you. The sovereign man does not explain. He executes. He accepts that the masses will always misunderstand the elite. You must become entirely comfortable being the villain in someone else's story. You must become entirely comfortable being perceived as arrogant, cold, or strange. When you sever the need to be understood, you sever the leash they hold around your neck. You stop negotiating your boundaries. You say no, and you offer zero justification. When you realize that their opinion of you is none of your business, the desperate need for their presence evaporates. Third, you must build an infrastructure of absolute competence. You need people because you are incompetent. That is the brutal truth. You need them for emotional regulation because you cannot regulate yourself. You need them for direction because you have no mission. You need them for entertainment because your own mind is boring. You must build a life so dense with purpose and skill that relying on others becomes a choice, not a necessity. Learn to fix your own problems. Learn to regulate your own nervous system. Build your own wealth. Cultivate your own physical strength. When you are intensely focused on your own mission, your need for an audience disappears. You become a sun, generating your own heat, entirely indifferent to whether the planets revolve around you. Fourth, you must embrace the strategic deployment of absence. In any relationship, the person who needs the other least holds all the power. Read that again. The person who needs the other least holds all the power. When you desperately need someone to stay, you will compromise your soul. You will accept disrespect. You will lower your standard. But when you truly do not need them, you become incredibly dangerous. You become unmanipulable. When you can look a partner, a friend, or a boss in the eye and project total comfort with walking away, you shatter their reality. People are mesmerized by those who do not need them. It defies human programming. We are wired to expect neediness and transaction. When you project absolute comfort in your own absence, you instantly become the most high-value person in the room. They will start chasing you. Because human beings value what they cannot easily grasp. And nothing is more rare in this needy world than a person who is entirely content in their own company. Fifth, you must practice the premeditation of total loss. You cling to people because you are terrified of losing them. You think being abandoned will destroy you. Look the monster in the eye. What happens if everyone leaves? What happens if the partner walks out, the friends betray you, and the network collapses? You will still breathe. You will still walk. Your mind will still be yours. Seneca practiced poverty to stop fearing it. You must practice absolute solitude to stop fearing abandonment. Spend days entirely alone. No phone. No music. No distractions. Sit in a quiet room and face the silence until it stops being terrifying and starts being empowering. When you realize that the worst-case scenario is completely survivable, the fear dies. And when the fear dies, the neediness dies with it. Sixth, you must flip the dynamic of connection. Stop entering rooms looking for what you can extract. Stop looking for someone to complete you. Needy people are black holes. They suck the energy out of the room, and everyone intuitively pulls away. You must enter the room already complete. You are not looking for a partner to validate you, you validate yourself. You are not looking for a tribe to give you an identity, your identity is forged in iron. You engage with people not because you need them to survive, but because you choose to share your surplus energy. When you operate from this frequency, you are no longer pushing against the current. You become the current. High-level individuals will be drawn to your calm, your focus, your unbreakable center. They will want to be near you precisely because you do not demand anything from them. You have been playing the game completely backwards. You have been sweating, and bleeding, and crying, trying to build a fortress out of other people. You have made yourself a slave to human nature. It is time to cut the chains. It is time to reclaim your mind. You cannot control their loyalty. You cannot control their opinions. You cannot control whether they stay or go. But you can cultivate a mind so disciplined, so fortified, that their departure feels like a breeze against a mountain. You can build an inner citadel so rich and powerful that the outside world is merely a distraction. Let the desperate masses continue to run in circles. Let them exhaust themselves chasing validation and begging for inclusion. Let them consume endless content about how to network their way to happiness. You are stepping out of the circle. You are stepping into the arena of the Stoics. You are choosing the path of immense, quiet, terrifying sovereignty. Focus entirely on your own execution. Remain utterly indifferent to the crowd. Do the work. Build the life. Cultivate the mind. And then, let people come and go as they please. Do not flinch when they arrive. Do not weep when they leave. The world belongs to the man who needs nothing from it. Release your desperate grip. Let them watch you stand alone.